Thank you for joining us today here at Super Return US East. I'm here with Paul Farrow. He's a partner at Benjamin Ball Associates. So Paul, if you could start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your role and a little bit more about Benjamin Ball Associates, that'd be great.
Sure, thanks Jen. At Benjamin Ball, our tagline, you might say, is pitch, present, persuade, and that's exactly what we do. That's what we help clients to do. We specialise in financial services, and within that, private equity is our sort of particular specialisation. My own background is I spent the last 30 years involved in different aspects of communications, in investment banking, as a financial journalist with Thomson Reuters, and more recently working in financial PR.
Oh, great. Excellent. Well, properly pitching and marketing a fund are obviously critical factors when it comes to getting capital from LPs.
Yes.
So how do you go about beginning this process with clients in advance of fundraising?
It all really starts with messaging, and that is where a lot of people go wrong. Before you put a single word on a PowerPoint presentation slide or fix up a meeting with a potential investor, you want to be really clear about who you are, what you do, and what makes you different. The way that we approach this with clients is to run what we call a cracker session for them. A cracker session because it cracks the messaging problem. And the idea is we get together all the relevant people from the client company for about a half a day, and then we facilitate the session and really look at what should be a powerful takeaway message, 3 or 4 other main messages, normally just 3, and then the proof that will actually back them up. And put that through a rigorous testing process, and at the end of it, that gives people a hard version of messaging that they can actually then put to work.
It makes a lot of sense. So what would be the 3 to 5 main points that you would instill in each of your clients in order for them to make their pitch meetings most successful?
I think the first one is to understand your prospect. And again, that's a mistake that a lot of people make. They dive into assuming that the person they're talking to wants certain things. Much better to find out what do they really want and then address those concerns. So in that sense, addressing the concerns is actually the second major thing you need to do. Understand the person and then address the concerns. And then the third thing is to make your answers as clear and as simple as possible. If you're meeting, as some LPs are, 3 or 4 GPs in a week, maybe sometimes even in a day, you will not invest in anything you don't understand. So keep it simple.
Makes sense. So do you find that you have to alter your strategy based on the type of fund being raised? So for example, is private equity different than credit, or can you elaborate around that?
I mean, obviously the detail is different to some extent, but I think that the 3 fundamental issues that you have to address are actually the same for any of the funds that you've mentioned. And you can really sum it up in 3 questions. And those are the questions that investors will be asking about you. How credible are you? How memorable are you? And how likable are you? Credible is, does the story stack up? Have you done it before? And if you haven't in quite this form, why should I believe that you can? The second one is memorable. Out of all the people I meet, for example in the credit world, where often the strategies seem very similar, what makes you stand out? And the third one is likability. I can remember at a panel at a conference a year ago, one LP said to me, I won't invest with anybody that just because I like them, but on the other hand, I definitely won't invest with anybody I don't like. And if credibility and memorability are the same, the reality is that likability is what wins. So don't underestimate likability.
Makes sense. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of pitches. What are the most common mistakes you see that GPs make when they're pitching LPs?
I think the most common mistake is the, in my opinion, fatal phrase, I'm going to take you through a presentation. I don't think anybody's heart was ever gladdened by somebody saying that. And it's clear if you listen to panels at conferences that that's not what LPs want. What they want is a dialogue with people who can help them to sort out a problem, which is how to invest their money in the most profitable way. And that's what they need your help with. And so part of that is, as I've said, find out what it is that they really want, address their concerns, and help them by doing that. And that's really a lot of the value that a GP can offer to an LP.
Sure. So do you ever actually attend the meetings between GPs and LPs?
That's not really our job, although I have to admit sometimes it would be lovely to do that. Our role really is in the preparation phase. And one of the things that we do is to help GPs to role play meetings with LPs before they go on the road. So 2 or 3 people from the Benjamin Ball team will be LPs for the day, and we get the GP to come in and pitch to us exactly as they would try to pitch to an LP. We video it, and then we watch it back together and work out what we can do to change. And often that's things like having a really powerful start, going back to the simple messages that I talked about earlier, listening, questions, summing up powerfully at the end. And so those are all the ways in which we can help. So by the time they actually go and meet real LPs, they've really road tested the messaging, the structure of the presentation, and their own ability to deliver it. And I think this is really important, to come over as a team, because that's a major reason why LPs don't invest with GPs, because they don't see a team.
Great. Well, that sounds like there's a fair amount of preparation to be done. So what's the lead time like? How long do you like clients to come to you before they go to market with a fund?
I mean, the easy answer is as early as possible. I think an honest answer is while there's still time to work on the messaging and the structure. I mean, people do phone us up regularly and say, I'm trying to raise a new fund, I've had a round of meetings, nothing's come of it, what can I do? And obviously in that situation we can still come in, and we do, and we can look at the presentation, how they can retweak it. However, the famous classic comment, you only get one opportunity to make a first impression, is definitely true for investors. So as I said, you really want to be confident about your presentation, your approach, what's special about you, what's different about you, before you're sitting in front of an LP, they've asked you those questions, and you realise actually your answers aren't good enough.
Makes sense. What percentage of your business is focused on private equity, and of that percentage of private equity, how many are first-time managers?
Overall, about a third of our business is private equity related, and by that I mean everything from first-time venture capital funds right through to big established private equity firms on maybe sometimes even double-digit funds. And then within that, I would say probably about a third of the business is actually first-time funds. So a third private equity, and then on that basis probably 10 to 12% will be actually first-time funds. But private equity is, of all the things we do, the largest part of our business. And I think that reflects the difference that the kind of approach that we've been talking about makes to people raising money.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us today, Paul.
That's a pleasure, Jen.